Senator Joe Manchin, Democrat of West Virginia, announced Thursday that he will not seek re election to the Senate in 2024, almost certainly handing Republicans a seat in next year's elections in the deep red state. After months of deliberation and long conversations with my family, I believe in my heart of hearts that I have accomplished what I set out to do for West Virginia. I have made one of the toughest decisions of my life and decided that I will not be running for re-election to the United States Senate. Manchin 76 said in a statement. But what I will be doing is traveling the country and speaking out to see if there is an interest in creating a movement to mobilize the middle and bring Americans together. It's funny that he's the middle. Manchin, who has held his seat since 2010, had long been considered the most vulnerable Senate Democrat on the map heading into 2024 and was until Thursday a lone Democratic incumbent who hadn't made his 2024 plans public. His announcement had been expected later this year or close to the January filing deadline. He was staring down the toughest electoral challenge of his senatorial career as West Virginia Governor Jim Justice has increasingly become the favorite to win next year. Senator Joe Manchin and I have not always agreed on policy and politics, but we're both lifelong West Virginians who love this state beyond belief, and I respect and thank him for his many years of public service. Justice said Thursday. Democrats have said throughout the past year that Manchin is the only member of their party to have a shot of winning in the ruby red state, and the seat will now almost certainly fall into GOP hands. Former President Trump carried West Virginia in 2020 by 39 points. Manchin, a former West Virginia governor, won his 2018 re-election contest over West Virginia Attorney General Patrick Morrisey by more than 3 percentage points. We head into the election with a 50-50 Senate. One Senate Republican said, adding that it is a huge development. The National Republican Senatorial Committee also indicated its happiness with Manchin's decision. The NRSC has endorsed Justice in the race over Representative Alex Mooney, the favorite of conservatives in the Club for Growth. We like our odds in West Virginia, Senator Steve Daines, the NRSC chair, said in the statement. So, there's a little bit more to this, but I'm going to say I've always been so frustrated by the National Democratic Party because they'll have a state like California, New York, Illinois, and they'll have the governorships, they'll have most of the both of the Senate seats, most of the members of the House, I guess congressional seats rather. But then when you look at states like Texas, Louisiana, I mean at this point even Iowa, they should be much more competitive, and they're not. And because they're not as competitive in states that are really not that red, they end up having to turn to some right-wing leaning fake Democrats like Manchin to hope to carry their water so they can have a majority. This guy was one of the most impactful senators of the last probably 20 years. And not for good reasons. You have someone who was among the few Democrats to vote for most of Trump's cabinet picks. Someone who was the only Democrat to vote for Kavanaugh, sunk much of Biden's proposals. Just a complete backstabber to his own faction. And I sat here for years. We need Manchin to keep West Virginia. We need Manchin to keep West Virginia. How about instead of focusing so hard on keeping one pretty crappy incumbent when it comes to supporting the positions of his own party, how about instead we focus on winning in other states? I'm not saying West Virginia is not important, but it wouldn't have such an overdue importance if the Democratic Party got its act together in many of the southern states that are not as red as others. I mean, it's and to their credit, we're seeing a little bit of progress. They've keep the governorship in Kentucky. They have the 2 Senate seats in Georgia. I mean, even Arizona is like leaning more purple than red. It's to my surprise, but they just have to be stronger with their national outreach to winning elections, because I think if that were to happen and they had a 60 or even like a 55 seat majority, they would Manchin wouldn't have been able to do anything. He would have just voted against stuff. The only thing he could have done is when he teamed up with Cinema to be, to save the filibuster, or rather to not end the filibuster, I should say, to not get rid of the 60 vote rule thing. But outside of that, it's just been a complete nightmare having this guy in the Senate, and I truly hope the Democrats at some point are able to run decent candidates that can win in some of these more purple, maybe red leaning states, so that we don't have to sit here and be afraid that, ooh, that one senator who votes against a bunch of our stuff might end up losing his seat, even though he's one of the main ones stabbing us in the back every time. So good riddance. I hope we never hear from him again. We are going to hear from him again because he's going to be in the Senate for another full year. But I really hope this is his his exit from politics, because he's awful at it.